but I also want to talk to our viewers today about, just going through life with this disease.
I just was getting all of my health checkups like I had always done and wound up being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer 2 months after an all clear mammogram and ultrasound. What happened as a result of that second opinion, when they actually found the breast cancer on the PET CT, then they were able to biopsy it in my breast and get a sampling of the tumor and send it off so that we know what is the makeup of the tumor. And then I decided that I was going to do something brave by myself, because I figured I was going to have to be brave. I think, having metastatic breast cancer, or any metastatic cancer really, is hard, and you have to be brave.
Every year, millions of women are told their mammogram is clear. But what many don't know is that for women with dense breast tissue, standard imaging may not always tell the full story. Today's guest was diagnosed with metastatic stage 4 breast cancer just 2 months after an all clear result. The cancer was invisible due to breast density, and now she has dedicated her life to making sure no other woman's story unfolds the same way. This conversation is not about fear, it is about information, and information saves lives. Let's dive in. All right, Leslie, so where are you joining us from today?
I am at my home in my office,
Okay.
and in the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, wow. What's the weather like over there? Here it's raining. It's going to be raining all week here in
Oh,
Texas.
today it's kind of cold and rainy. It's not quite cold enough to be snowing.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's the worst, right? It's that damp, wet cold
Yes.
that the Midwest is so known for. And here we're having it. So, kind of dark and dreary, cold, wet. It's kind of that bone chilling
Uh-oh.
cold.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like I
That's
don't
all right. It's March now. We're headed towards spring. All good.
Okay. Well, Leslie, I'm so happy to have you on here today because I feel like the topics we're going to delve in today are barely talked about enough in the breast cancer community, and just not a lot of people have the information or even perspective that we're going to share today. So I'm really, really excited to have you on here. But before we get into that, I want to know how you're feeling today, and maybe in this season of life, maybe just encapsulate that in one answer, if you will.
Um, Feeling good today. It was a long work day today. A lot of different things going on. We just had our 6th annual Find Out My Breast Density Day last week.
Okay.
Very exciting. I'd love it if you'd share the link for that,
Yes, absolutely.
because we collaborated with a lot of partners. And of course, we shared our breast density resources at
Mm-hmm.
My Density Matters, but we also shared a lot of other people's resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so people could go to the page and, yes, find out about breast density, which is what we do. But there were things there for advocacy and aftercare and caregivers and all kinds of things. So it was a really active day for us on social media. So we're still really working on wrapping that up, getting all of our thank yous out and the statistics gathered and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a little weary, but excited for the rest of the year now.
Okay, that's good. Excitement is always good.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah,
yeah, because
for
I mean,
sure.
I feel like sometimes we get so in the weeds of things, and it's hard to, take a
Yeah.
breath up. But when you do, you can tell that, yeah, I'm making progress. So I should be
Right.
excited about that. So that's
Exactly.
good.
Yeah. Hard work pays off in the end and it is rewarding. So it's okay to be a little tired sometimes because that means you're doing something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so with diving into your story, I want you to take us back to what life looked like before you found out.
Yeah. I was 55 and, feeling good about everything. Kind of searching for my next thing in life, what I was going to do with my energy and time. And I just was getting all of my health checkups like I had always done and wound up being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer 2 months after an all clear mammogram and ultrasound. So that changed everything, right? It just literally changed everything. And so after the shock and starting treatment and doing a lot of soul searching, I came to what I knew that I was called to do, and that was to start up My Density Matters and try to educate every woman on this planet about breast density and help her advocate for herself to get the screening that she needs so that my story doesn't become anyone else's story because it doesn't need to be, but it is still happening. So we still have work to do. We're making progress. But, my life, what I want to do and what I feel I need to do is more clear now than it
Mhm.
was before diagnosis.
Wow. So you had this all clear mammogram and ultrasound. And so
Mhm.
just 2 months later after that, you were diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
Yes.
I mean, can you walk us through what happened in between when you had the scan and then now you're stage 4?
Yeah, it was the wildest thing. My doctor suggested that being newly postmenopausal, that I should get a bone density scan. That's just a DEXA scan, very
Mm-hmm.
simple scan. It's not a cancer screening tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's to find out your bone, the density of your bones. And so I thought, well, okay, that makes sense because what he said was, let's get a reading now, and then as you get older, women do tend to lose bone mass, but if we don't know what it is now, we won't know if you've lost later or not. So I thought, well, that's just super reasonable. So I went and I got one of those. Very simple. And what happened? But the radiologist who was reading that scan was like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with the bone mass, but there's weird stuff happening in these bones. Need to investigate what is going on." So got an X-ray, got a CT scan, which didn't see anything other than weird things in my bones. Still didn't see any origin, like um origin of where it was coming from. Two tests for multiple myeloma, which is bone cancer,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it looked like.
Mm.
And then ultimately they're like, well, we don't know, so we've got to do a bone biopsy. So I got a bone biopsy and that came back metastatic breast cancer.
Wow.
And that's how we knew that I had metastatic breast cancer. And I said, how can this be? This makes no sense to me. And they said, well, breast cancer can be really small and still metastasize.
Mm.
And I thought, this didn't sound right to me, right? I just was like, I couldn't square it. So I got a second opinion
Mm.
at the Mayo Clinic, and they were like, oh, yeah, it is definitely metastatic breast cancer. But they did a PET CT, and what showed up on the PET CT in my left breast, but an area about this big,
Mm.
about the size of a small egg, 3 by 5 centimeter area, breast cancer.
Wow.
It showed up on that scan and no others. So it wasn't small,
So
but it's
this was
lobular.
this was
So it wasn't really a big hard lump. It was just an area like lobular can be. And
wow.
that's kind of why it was never really seen, is because it's not really a hard lump. It's more of just an area that was hiding in my dense breast tissue. And that lobular does that, like most lobulars are missed on mammograms.
So
And so that's what
you
it was.
this it sounds like this. If I'm following the story correctly, this is the third place that you went to, or the second place for your second opinion.
Second, second.
So that's actually really scary. It's mind-boggling to me at this point, because what if you had taken the first whatever you got the first time, and you did not take the time to do a second opinion, or maybe you did not have the means to do a second opinion?
Yes,
That
that's right.
could have been a different story.
It could have been a different story. And what happened as a result of that second opinion, when they actually found the breast cancer on the PET CT, then they were able to biopsy it in my breast and get a sampling of the tumor and send it off so that we know what is the makeup of the tumor. That was not going to happen at at my primary place of diagnosis, because they said it's so small we can't see it. Except they just weren't using the right tool to see it. So that information I never would have gotten had I not gotten my second opinion.
Okay.
And that's important information to have.
Absolutely.
And you need to get it before you start treatment, because the treatment changes your tumor. Of course, that's what it's supposed to do, right?
Hmm.
So to me, that second opinion was really critical, because now we know what the tumor's makeup is. What mutations it has,
Right.
and the way the treatments are going. They are using that information of the makeup of the tumor to treat it more and more all the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
really important.
Really important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and we're gonna highlight the second screening that you did, so that people know. Not only do
Yeah.
you need to get a second opinion if you're ever in this situation, but if you have dense breasts, there's such a thing as breast density that can impede whatever you see on the mammogram. So that's something to take note of as well.
Absolutely. And that's what My Density Matters is all about, is empowering women to know what their breast density is. It's in all of our mammogram reports now. September of 2024, the FDA mandated that women must be told what their density is.
Mm,
So that information is out there. All breast centers should be compliant by now on
mm,
that with the FDA mandate. So everybody can know, but everybody doesn't know.
right.
So that's what we're about, is empowering people to know this and find out theirs and advocate for themselves so that their tumors can be found while they're small, treatable, curable, and way less life altering.
Hmm. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
8 years now, stage 4
Yeah.
metastatic breast cancer. Um, I mean, I can only imagine stage 4. The word stage 4, if it's even a word here, it's scary by itself. And but you're 8 years out now. I mean, that's just so beautiful to see, one. But I also want you to talk to our viewers today about just going through life with this disease.
Yeah. Well, I feel really fortunate in a lot of ways, because number one, I did have the wherewithal to go get that second opinion. Not everybody does.
Hmm.
You know, it should be available to everyone. It isn't, for a lot of reasons. And I'm still taking my first line of treatment, which is really, really unusual. And I've never, yes, there are side effects. There are. But I've never really felt bad or sick, or, not very encumbered by it. And by the time 8 years comes, if somebody's fighting metastatic cancer of really any variety, most people do have serious consequences to the treatment, because the treatments are harsh. So I do feel really lucky in that I have responded so well to this first line of treatment that I've just been able to stay on it all this time,
Hmm.
and not really physically be too life altered by it, but mentally is a different story, of
Hmm.
course.
Hmm.
You're always thinking, am I going to see that in my future? Will I live long enough to do X, Y, and Z that I've always wanted to do,
Right.
etc.? And so it's really important for me to keep those thoughts in check, because back 7 years ago, I never thought I would see half of what I'm seeing now with my family, friends, and just the world,
That's
right?
incredible.
I never thought that. So I'm always like, oh, you figured you weren't going to see your daughter's college graduation, and you did. You figured you weren't going to see this, and now you're seeing it. So just chalk it up to we don't know.
Hmm.
Like, we do not know. And I'm much more comfortable now with just not knowing. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to know that until we know it. That's
So
it.
before, in your case, before this whole breast density thing, did you know about breast density, or
No.
what even prompted you to go into like
Well,
learning
I
about
didn't
this?
know about it until after diagnosis.
Hmm.
My breast center did call me back for an ultrasound, and they just said, "We want you to come in and get a few more images. Nothing to worry about. Just want to do a quick ultrasound just to check." And I was kind of like, "Well, I had other stuff to worry about. I never thought I was going to get, I never thought I was going to get breast cancer. Nobody ever does,
Hmm.
right?" So I was just like, "Yeah, all right." Well, and then I went and did it, and they're like, "Oh, good. See you next year." So I thought nothing more of it. And it was because of my breast density that they called me back, but that was never really explained.
Mm.
I just went and did what they told me to do. And so, no, I really didn't until I went to the second opinion up at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And I asked the doctor, I'm like, how can it be that I have stage 4 breast cancer 2 months after all clear mammogram and ultrasound? And he said, it having uh, breast, no, what did he say? Um, sh- it's like shining light through concrete in women who have dense breasts. It's really hard to see through it.
Mm.
And I was a little dumbfounded by it. And I think I didn't even say anything. But boy, did I go off and start researching. Right? Oh, what does this mean? What is he talking about? And then I figured it all out after the fact. Now, that was 8 years ago. Okay. And
Hmm.
there's a lot more talk about density now than there was then.
Yeah, I'm glad you said
A
that.
lot more.
Yeah.
So things have changed a lot in 8 years with density because, there's way too many stories like mine.
Hmm. So speaking of figuring it out, what now that you know what you know, what kind of questions would you ask at that all clear mammogram?
Well, I would find out what density level I was.
Okay.
I would want to know if I'm A, B, C, or D.
Hmm.
I would ask the radiologist questions like, how confident are you that if I have breast cancer that you'd be able to see it? If I were your sister, wife, mother, whatever, what tests would you have me get so that you could be sure that I didn't have breast cancer? What would you do, right? For yourself, for
Mm-hmm.
your um well, maybe the radiologist is a woman. What do you do for yourself,
Right.
right? Etc. So I would ask questions like that.
Mm.
The problem is we don't often get a chance to,
Yeah.
right?
It's usually
Because
in and out.
it's in and out. And here's the order of things too. We go to our yearly thing to see our primary care physician, if we even go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
If we even go for a yearly thing. Sometimes it's a primary care physician, but often it's our OBGYN, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do more yearly as women in our prime than
Yeah.
a primary care physician. Often, not always. It's different everywhere, but that's often the case, right? Um, you go and you do your appointment, and then they order your tests, and then you go get them afterwards, so you don't ever have a chance to discuss it. So now I always ask, I want all the tests that you're going to have me get. Give me the orders now. I'll go
Hmm.
get them, and I want results before I come to my appointment. And they look at me like I have four heads because that's not the order they normally do it. Oh, you want to
Right.
do everything before? Yes, so that I can talk to you about them,
Exactly. And you're
right?
not just feeding me information and just throwing all these things my way, which is the
Yeah,
frustrating part.
yeah. So it's a backwards order, I believe, of things. We don't get the chance to ask questions,
Hmm.
especially of these test results. You might get a thing. Well, you got high cholesterol. The doctor wants to put you on a statin or something. Whatever.
Hmm.
Whatever they see. But a lot of times you do not have the chance to have a conversation. And I realize doctors are busy. There aren't enough doctors. Like how is everyone going to be able to have this wonderful relaxed conversation with a doctor? I don't know. But we should be able to have an audience at some point,
Hmm.
right? To be able to ask the questions that we want to ask. But it's just not always possible, and most of the time not done.
Let's go back a little bit to when you talked about the densities, the different types of densities, and I know your organization does a great job at going into much detail about them. But for the sake of people who are just watching us right now, you mentioned density A, B, C, and D. Can you just do a run through of what those densities are?
You got it. There are four different categories of breast density that a radiologist will put you into when they read your mammogram report. So, first of all, dense breast density is mammographical density. It's not like how it looks or how it feels or how big or
Mm-hmm.
small or cup
Mm-hmm.
size or anything. It's what it looks like in a mammogram.
Mm.
So, our breasts are basically, simply put, made up of two things. One is fat, and the other is fibroglandular tissue. And that fibroglandular tissue is all the ducts and all that, and all the connective tissue that holds all that together. So on a mammogram, the fat looks black or dark gray, and the fibroglandular tissue looks white, and so does breast cancer.
Mm.
So the more fibroglandular tissue that you have, which is your density, the harder it is going to be to see a white on white scenario.
Mm.
And so that's the problem with density. So the higher your density, the harder it is to find cancer in the mammogram because it's a lot of white trying to find white in it.
Right.
Some people say it's like trying to find a polar bear in a snowstorm, that type of thing. The big blizzard, and you can't find the polar bear or the white bunny anywhere because they're disguised. And the other problem with breast density is that it is a significant risk factor. So the higher your density, the higher your risk, and it's harder to find. So double whammy. So category A is a woman who has almost no fibroglandular tissue, almost all fat. Her mammogram looks a lot of dark gray, and a white dot will show up of breast cancer really beautifully on that person.
Mm-hmm.
Category B is just kind of like a little density, but not a lot. Category A and B are considered not dense breasts. When you get into category C, which is heterogeneously dense, now you're getting into quite a bit of density, and it's getting harder to find that cancer. Category D is called extremely dense. Looks like that snowstorm, looks like that blizzard. Can't find anything in it. And so if you go to our website, right on the front, you'll see four different images,
Mm-hmm.
what they look like, labeled with A, B, C, or D, or the names that people use for those, and how it shows you how it's difficult to find the cancer. And so that's it in a nutshell. When this is posted or whatever, we can slide that image in there so people can
Absolutely.
see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
This brings another question to my mind. So, how does one even know that they have dense breasts? Because now it's not even about the size or how they feel. So, how do you know that you have dense breasts?
The only way to find out your breast density is to get a mammogram and
Mm,
read your report or read the letter that you get. So we have a signature program called Check Your Chart.
okay.
Simple, simple, simple. All it does is encourage you to go onto my chart, read your mammogram report, check your chart,
Mm-hmm.
and look for those words or the text that the radiologist writes to tell you what your density is. And we also encourage people to read all the way down to the bottom because sometimes the radiologist will say, additional screening recommended due to breast density.
Right.
And sometimes the prescribing physician just reads across the top. No mammographical evidence of cancer found, and they don't read all the way down.
Mm,
And that's what we want to see too. Like, why do you go get your mammogram? Because you want to know you don't have breast cancer, right?
right. Mm-hmm.
You see across the top, no mammographical evidence of cancer found. Whoop, you're done. You never read to the bottom. And so that's what we're trying to get people to do is to read the report, understand it, at least look for those density words and read all the way down to the bottom to see if there's any recommendations. Because if there are recommendations, they're there for a reason. And you need to follow those recommendations, even if you're the only one that saw it and you have to push for it yourself. Often the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good call. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to shift focus now to living with metastatic breast cancer because you know, a lot of times, like I kind of mentioned this earlier. When we hear I can't even talk.
Metastatic. Hard word to say.
Metastatic.
It's tongue twister.
Metastatic. Oh my God. I hope we cut this
Yeah.
part out. But when we hear that, like, it sends. As you can see, I couldn't even pronounce the word because
I
I'm
know.
thinking I'm having a
Yeah.
a real reaction here, and
Yeah.
and you're living with it, you're thriving, you're impacting. How did you get here? From what I'll need you to walk me through from 8 years ago. You heard this must have been mind boggling. Like you heard you were all clear, and then 2 months you're now metastatic breast cancer, and here you are today, 8 years, not only thriving but also making a huge impact in this space. How did you get from A to Z?
So the first maybe 6 or 8 months, that was November 2017 when I was diagnosed. Okay. So all the way into the summer of, let's say, 2018, I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want to talk about it, because, like, I'm not the sick one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who takes care of other people. Like, I'm not, no, I don't do sick. I don't have time for that, right? That was my MO.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hate the word sick anyway. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you this, but
Mm-hmm.
if you call me sick, I'm going to wring your neck, right? Because I don't want to be sick,
You heard
right?
it here first.
Yeah. Don't use that word. It's a 4-letter word. So,
The S word. No to the S
yeah,
word.
see, you got it. I hated that. And then I decided that I was going to do something brave by myself because I figured I was going to have to be brave. I think, having metastatic breast cancer or any metastatic cancer really is hard and you have to be brave. Because it's treacherous. It's not easy stuff. It's
Mhm.
it's really hard. Some harder than others, but it's hard.
Mhm.
It just
It
is.
is.
So I decided I was going to walk the Camino de Santiago, 500 miles across the top of Spain. It's an ancient Christian pilgrimage,
Wow.
but people of all faiths or no faith walk it. It's
Mm.
very spiritual.
Wow.
So in the northwest corner of Spain is a cathedral called Santiago de Compostela. That's the name of the town, where supposedly the bones of Saint James,
Mm.
the apostle of Jesus, are kept.
Mm.
Long story, are those his bones in there? It's the lore, okay? It's the journey that counts. So
Mm-hmm.
people have pilgrimaged for 1,000 years from all over Europe to this place. It's a well-defined path. If anybody's interested, they should watch the movie The Way,
The
starring
way.
Martin Sheen.
Okay.
It's a pretty good movie, 2 hours. Well,
Mm.
it's a good movie. And that's what I did. And I wanted to walk 500 miles on my own by myself.
You said
And
100 miles?
500. 500.
500 miles on foot.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
500 miles on foot. Took me 40 days. You walk about 15, 18 miles a day, something like that.
That is still
And
that is still wild. That is still
yeah,
wild.
it
Take
was
me on a
great.
3 mile course and I'm like, when is this ending?
When are we stopping for? When are we stopping? Um, I loved it. I loved it. There's not a day that goes by that I don't wish I weren't back out there, walking. And there are other people around. It's not like it's way different than the Appalachian Trail or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, but you meet a lot of people from all over the world. It was just fantastic. But it's very spiritual. So,
Mm.
and that's a lot of miles of walking,
Mm.
and a lot of times you are walking alone, so you just think and walk and think
Mm.
and repeat, repeat, repeat.
Mm.
And so I was trying to figure out, like, how am I going to spend the rest of my life, which might not be very long?
Mm.
And what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? And how's it going to go? Right. And so by the time I got done, um, walked into the cathedral square 500 miles later, I was just like, I have to do my part in helping other women not have this happen.
Mm.
And the thing is, it's possible. It's not like we're asking too much. It's not like it's not possible. This is just a systemic problem.
It is.
We have the tools already. Yeah, there could be better ones, maybe, but we have the tools. This is not impossible at all. And so, I'm not asking for the moon here. I'm just asking for people to get what they need that already exists. So I just sort of became resolute at that time that this is what I wanted to do. And this is going to sort of be my legacy and contribution. And that's how I wanted it to go. And I was going to do it in a certain way. And that is collaboratively, not going to compete. This isn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is our thing,
Absolutely.
right? Collaboratively, it's going to be fun. And I'm going to do it with a growth mindset. Enough for everyone. That's sort of how I wanted this to go and how I want my life to go. And so I just kind of made those decisions and have kind of abided by that ever since. And I think it's worked pretty much, you
Mm.
know? I think it's and so kind of the longer I go, the longer I think I might go, because it's like, I don't know, this has worked for 8 years. Maybe it's gonna work for 8 more. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. And the treatments do keep getting better. So maybe if this starts to fail, there'll be something else that works for another 8 years. So I'm hopeful.
Absolutely.
I don't have a doom and gloom outlook on it.
And you shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I love that word hope, because hope is the difference between you getting the diagnosis and making it out on the other side.
Yeah. Right.
So when we talk about hope, how do you define hope?
Oh, mm, that is having the faith, idea, possibility, confidence, maybe that things are going to work out well and as they should. That's the best I can do to define what I think it really means. And it has an uplifting feeling to it,
Yeah.
you know. Things working out the way they should, maybe whether regardless of whether it's what I would have chosen or not. um, makes me feel okay. Like that's okay with me if things don't turn out. Like, I mean, I'd like to live too. I mean, my mom just passed away. She was 97 and a
Mm.
half.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, well, I'd like to live that long.
Mhm.
I don't know if I will, but if I wasn't really meant to live that long, that's okay with me. That things will have turned out as they should. So I'm okay with that, even though maybe I won't get what I really want. That makes sense.
Absolutely. No, we gotta speak it into existence.
Yeah, right.
Speak it,
Yeah,
dream it, speak it, and live it.
yeah, right.
And so,
Yeah.
how does that hope show up for you every day as you go with your walk? Like, has there been moments when you just felt really frustrated? How did you walk through that?
Well, I kind of, my days of work with my density matters, there are ups and downs. Some days feel like this is so hard and am I getting anywhere, right? Um, but what I learned when I was walking the Camino de Santiago is just one foot in front of the other
Mm,
will get you there eventually.
mm. That's a
You
good
might have
one.
to stop and rest. You might have to stop a town shorter than you wanted to. Maybe thought I wanted to go to this town, which was 18 miles away, but at 15 miles, I was just wiped. Had to stop, right? Um, One step in front of the other. And some days are harder than others. They just are. And even flat days out there, like one day walking flat 15 miles feels different than the next day walking flat 15 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. But, you know, the good days can get you through the hard days. And just knowing that one step in front of the other will ultimately win the prize.
Absolutely. And just speaking to you just lets me know that there is a lot about metastatic breast cancer that people don't know. Even me sitting here, I'm not gonna pretend that I know because I have a lot of assumptions, but I want you to speak to the person who is probably in the same situation right now. What is that one thing that people misunderstand about metastatic breast cancer?
A lot of people think that they don't understand what it is.
Mm,
They don't understand what stage 4 or metastatic means. Because and how do I know that they don't know this? Is because they'll say, "Well, when's your treatment gonna be over?" And I'm like, "Never?" Because you're never out of treatment at stage 4. You might take a break, but there is no cure. You're going to be doing something to stave it off if you can. Forever. There is no cure. That's what the screening is all about,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
That's what the mastectomies are about. That's what the radiation's all about. That's what the chemo's all about, is to keep it from spreading to stage 4,
mm-hmm,
where there is no cure, and
mm-hmm.
that you will always have to do something to combat it forever. There isn't a cure. And so I think that's what people don't really understand, is that like the ship has left the harbor now.
Mm.
It's out there, and it's not coming back. So while you can do really well, like I've done, it is never over. I don't think people understand that.
And when you say when it is never over, are you and also I don't think I asked you at the beginning what type of breast cancer you had,
Globular.
lobular. So
Mm.
when you say it's never over, are we talking about constant chemo, radiation, or just oral
It
chemo?
depends on what your breast cancer is, what type you have, how it's acting, where it is, how fast it's spreading, where it's going, all of that, as to what your treatment is.
Mm-hmm,
And so what I'm saying is once the cancer has left your breast and gone somewhere else into your body, then there really is no cure for that. And so you're under constant surveillance and usually some sort of treatment,
Mm,
always. Now, some people are like, uh, well, like me, I just take this pill and it's like whoosh,
mm,
not spreading. But that's not always the case, and often it isn't. Starts popping up here and there, and all of that. So you don't cure it, you treat it.
mm. So speaking of that, how has that changed the way you approach life on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I just know that um, until there is a cure, I'm not confident there won't be one.
Hmm.
At least for some types, maybe. There's so much going on out there, so much research going on that it seems really, really promising. And I'm not so confident there that it might not be cured someday.
Hmm.
I just have to stay alive long enough to see it. Um, but it does kind of sharpen you a little bit. So if you want to take the trip, go. If you want to go see a friend, go. If you want to make that phone call, go to the funeral, go to the party, take the girls' trip, all this kind of stuff, because you don't know. So, in some ways, it makes you live more,
Mm,
taking advantage of the time that you have. In some
absolutely. I,
ways, it
I I
does
think
that.
you should take advantage of the time that you have, regardless of any of whether
Absolutely.
much
Always.
less. Yes.
That's what I tell
Mm-hmm.
my kids. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
go now,
Right.
do it while you can. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not promised
No one
tomorrow.
knows.
Nobody
No
knows.
one knows. No
Nobody. Mm-hmm.
promise. What
Mm-hmm.
what is the saying? Tomorrow's promised to no
Mm-hmm.
one. Yeah, so everybody should I think have these thoughts and live as much as they possibly can in the time that they have, because no one really knows, right? But knowing that possibly um you might be facing something that's debilitating soon, brings that to the forefront more, I think.
As I talk to you right now, I know there are many women that are gonna start being curious about, do I have dense breasts? What does that even look like in my situation? So I'm gonna play the scenario. So you've probably gone to your mammogram test. After that, what is the next thing you should do? Like anybody going for the mammogram test,
Check your chart.
check your chart and then
Check
see
your
the
chart. Look at.
density. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you get
Yeah.
the density, then you can know if you have a dense breast.
Yes or not. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So usually,
The,
do they give you a recommendation for additional screening if you have a dense breast?
it's not standard of care. That's why we have to advocate for ourselves.
Okay.
Some people will. Some doctors will be, oh, like, you have dense breast, you need to go do this, and they will give you that order and they will send you off to get it. Other people are just like, meh, they don't do anything. So that's why it's up to us, because there is no standard for breast density right now.
Hmm.
There's a lot of recommendations, there's a lot of guidelines, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of, research and papers and all the stuff on a daily basis, really. So much now that but there's still no standard, and it's not always covered by insurance either.
Yeah,
So
that's
right?
just
Oh, it's a
yeah.
huge problem.
Oh my
And
god.
so yeah, I know, right? That's a
Don't get me
that's a whole
started.
other podcast. That's a whole other podcast.
Oh my god.
But we have to advocate for ourselves.
Hmm.
So get your mammogram, check your chart, find yourself out, learn about your density, right? If you are dense, and then talk to your doctor about additional screening if they aren't talking to you about it. And make sure you get it. It's a pain. It's another trip, usually. You might have to go to a different place, all the reasons why we don't sometimes do the follow ups, but do it. don't miss it.
Okay.
It could matter.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And as I sit here thinking back to when I first had my mammogram, I had no idea what to do, what questions to ask. But being here with you and just 8 years later, I know we already went through a couple of questions, but what is that one important question that you need to ask? Every woman needs to ask at her mammogram test.
Are my breasts dense or not? Find out. It's as important as knowing your blood pressure, your cholesterol, all these other things, that we talk about all the time. It's a health data point. It's not bad to have density. I mean, half of us do, right?
Mm,
So it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just that we need to know it. And we need to know that we need additional screening beyond a mammogram. That's what we need to know. And we need to be able to figure out how to get it.
absolutely. So
That's it. I mean, it's kind of simple. It's simple to say, but harder to do.
yeah, especially dealing with
Harder
all
to
the anxiety that comes from having the scan in the first place.
Exactly. Right. Yes, exactly right. So it's a lot of work on us to do it because there's no standard that really, if we have dense breasts, helps us find the cancer if it happens to be there. Yeah. It's on us right now.
So, um, I know but it's a worthy mention. So, you founded My Density Matters.
Right.
So, I feel like we've kind of gone over this, but again, um, I know you also have an annual. I don't think we have. Sorry, that's my bad. I don't think we've gone over this, but I was gonna ask in one word or one sentence. Actually, one sentence because one word would not do justice. In one sentence, what is the mission of My Density Matters?
I missed that because you froze. So
Uh oh.
can you
Okay.
say that again?
I was asking in one sentence, what is the mission of My Density Matters?
Empower women to find out their breast density, learn their additional screening options, and advocate for themselves.
Beautiful.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
I know you host an annual find out my breast density day every February 18th,
Yes. It's the third Wednesday in
third Wednesday.
February, whatever day that falls on. Yeah.
Okay. So what does that day involve? What is that something only in the area you live or
No, no. It's online, but we also add in other things like a podcast.
Mhm.
And we had two in-person events this year.
Oh,
One in Chicago and one in Cincinnati. That were kind of like add-ons to our Find Out My Breast Density Day. So those were both, one was hosted by us, and one of our sister organizations called the Pink Eraser Project
mhm.
hosted the one in Cincinnati, and they bring women in and educate them about breast density, all the things that we would do if we were there, but we can't be everywhere at the same time. So it's usually an online thing, and also we did a special in Chicago. We did a
Mm,
special live. The Doctor is in with Ricky Fairley
okay.
and Dr. Monique Gary and some local doctors and guests. And it streamed live on Sunday afternoon from our event with Ricky Fairley there monitoring, and hosting the Doctor is In show. It was pretty cool. And that's gotten thousands of views. So, like she's got a following. We've collaborated on Find Out My Breast Density Day now, I think for 4 years.
Okay.
And so that's just it's just fun to do, just to collaborate with her and all our other collaborators and really get everybody in on the act of finding out their density,
Yeah.
and saving some people's lives who then can take the information and go do what they need to do and find their cancer early while it's curable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to have those videos playing while you talk about while you're talking. Yes. If you have videos of that event, that would be great.
Yeah. Oh, it's on blackdoctor.org on
Okay.
their video. It's in their feed.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll post that.
Okay.
When you post this podcast, we'll
Okay.
post that right in the comments so everybody can go watch.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
if you can even probably if you can send me a link or something, I can
Oh, I
put
can
it
send
right
you.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for the show notes,
Yes.
absolutely, I will do that. Yes. Hmm.
And then if someone is okay, so we spoke about how um I wouldn't say simple, but how important but the breast density is, the education of it and the inclusion of it in this whole breast cancer journey. If there are changes that need to be made with the current system that we have, what would you say those changes are?
The number one thing that will move things along is for all modalities to be paid
Mm,
for additional screening for women with dense breast and other high risk conditions as well. So there is a national law that is out there, that is now presently co sponsored by maybe 46 Congress people and 6 senators. But there's a lot of other things going on in DC right now. So will it come up for a vote anytime soon? Will it get out of committee? Nobody knows.
mm,
But the law is out there, and what it calls for is coverage, all payers, Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, whatever the vets use, all private insurance, whether it's these
yes.
big companies that self insure
Mm-hmm.
or on the exchange or whatever, all payers have to pay for additional screening for women with dense breasts
Mm,
and other high risk conditions. So, you know, part of the problem is if insurance isn't going to pay for something, doctor's not going to just prescribe it
mm,
because there's no money in it.
yeah.
I mean, it really is as simple as that. I think that's been the biggest barrier because, they're not going to invest in the equipment if they can't get it reimbursed. They are in business. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Breast centers and medicine is business. And if they're not going to invest in something, if they're not going to get return on, because that does not fall to the bottom line nicely at all. So once they see that they can get the reimbursement for the additional screening, they'll probably start giving it more. They'll invest in it and they'll give it more because they'll get the money for it. And so I think that's the biggest barrier is getting that law passed so that everybody has access to it and the screening is paid for. And then things will start to change. Until the money's there, I don't think it's going to change very much.
That was so beautifully put. And so, on a lighter note, it is now time for our.
Oh, I can't hear it, but
You can't
it's
hear
great.
it?
No,
Hopefully, you can
no,
hear it now. No?
no, but I hear the bell. I mean, I see the bell. I just don't hear it.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Maybe my ears just don't hear that.
I Well, it's time for the Breastie lightning round where I get
Oh
to
my
ask
gosh.
you some rapid fire questions and I don't want you thinking about it. I just want you to go for it. Okay?
Okay.
Are we
All right.
ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What is one word that defines your journey?
Empowerment.
Empowerment. Okay. What is a myth about breast cancer you want to eliminate?
Mammograms cause cancer.
Mm. And then coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea. And then
But I love
last,
them both. But tea.
um, and then if your mission were a headline, what would it read?
Oh. Um, My Density Matters envisions a world where breast density no longer hinders the early diagnosis of breast cancer. It's a long headline, but it's good, isn't it?
Sound
That's what we
effects.
really want.
I like the sound effect. Shh.
Yeah. That's it. That's what
Oh
we
my
want.
God.
Mhm.
And last but not the least, I think is the best one. Finish the sentence. I am a breastie because.
I'm a breastie because I don't want anybody to die from breast cancer.
Amen to that. And that is the pod, Leslie. Thank you so much for being here. I enjoy this time with you. And
Thank you.
I know this is going to touch a lot of people's lives. The education piece, just your journey was, just beautiful to hear and experience.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And thanks for what you do, too.